morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Ancient Irish Tales. And today's tale is in the Ulster Cycle, the last one, called The Death Chariot of Chulainn. Woo! Welcome to the Phantom Chariot of Chulainn. Yeah, the last story in the Ulster Cycle. Then we'll get into the Finian cycle. Well, with this one especially, you have to understand that the Christian writers in early Ireland were more kindly deposited towards their native pagan traditions, considering it had just taken over, than they were than the newly converted peoples of medieval Europe. Holy men assaulted freely with fairy beings. St. Patrick listens with delight as the exploits of Finn and Oisin, which is in the next tales, because it's a whole cycle about that. And he even uses his divine power to call back Chulainn from the grave that the Stefnek Loga, pagan high king in Ireland, may lead to accept the new faith. However, conceived the idea was to bring together the most distinguished ancient pagan champion and the most beloved Christian saints did have a truly poetic imagination. You see, Patrick, he went to Tara to enjoy belief upon the king of Erin. That is, upon Logarar, son of Nell, who is king of Erin at the time. For he would not believe that the Lord, through he had preached unto him. In other words, they really weren't taken too kindly at that point about St. Patrick coming and telling them that, no, fuck you, you shouldn't be worshipping your pagan gods, worship the other one. Anyways, unfortunately, St. Patrick's did commit genocide against the Irish people and wipe out all the Druids at the time and converted everybody to Christianity. Hence, the thing at St. Patrick's Day about driving the snakes out of Ireland. Snakes being Druids and any worshippers of the ancient pagan ways. Logar said to Patrick, "By no means I believe in this, nor yet in God, in the Christian God, until thou shalt call up Chulainn in all his dignity as he is recorded in the old stories, that I may see him, and that I may address him in my presence here. After that, I might believe in thee." "Even this thing is possible for the Christian God," said Patrick. Then a messenger came from the Christian God to Patrick and said that Patrick and Logar should remain until the morrow on the rampant wrath of Tara, and that Chulainn would appear to him there. After the appearance of Chulainn to him in this chariot, Logar went to converse with Patrick. Patrick said to Logar, "Has something indeed appeared to thee?" "Something has indeed appeared to me," said Logar, "but I have not the power to relate it unless thou wilt sign and consecrate my mouth." "I will not sign thy mouth," said Patrick, "until I have my demand. I will, however, make a sign in the air that comes out of thy mouth, in order thou mayest describe the apparition which thou shown to thee." "As I was going," said Logar, "over the slope of the chariot to the hill on the ferry mount to the plain of the plateau on the assembly in the plain of Matloch, I saw an old piercing wind like a double-barbed spear. It hardly sparred to think the hair from my head, and to go through us to the earth. I asked Ben the meaning of the wind. Ben said to me that this is the wind of hell after it's opened before Chulainn. We saw then that the heavy fog which dropped upon us. I asked also Ben the meaning of the heavy fog. Ben said the fog was the breath of men and, of horses that were traversing the plain before me. Then we saw a great raven flocking high above us. The county was full of birds, and in the height they reached the clouds of the Christian heaven. I asked of Ben these things, and he said they were sods thrown up by the hooves of the horses that they yoked to Cullen's chariot. After that, we saw the forms of the horses through the mist, and of men in the easy chariot, a charioteer on high behind them, a spirit chieftain, horses that rode paths. I observed after this the 2 horses, equal in size and beauty they were, and only unlike in form and color and swiftness in their backs, in color beautiful in height, and foundness remarkable, and their heads were small, large-lipped, bright-eyed, red, of chest sleek, and well-knitted. They yielded promptly to the yoke. They attracted attention by the lofty dignity of their movements. Their manes and tails hung down in curls. Behind the pair of wildly spaced chariots, beneath 2 black-sod wheels, above it 2 symmetrical overlapping reins, its shafts firm straight as swords. The reins, adorned with plaited pole, white silver, and wreath of white bronze, and yoke firm, rigid, and made of gold. The hood purple, the fittings green. While the chariot warriors was visible, the hair was thick and black and smooth, as though a cow had licked it. In his head his eyes gleamed swift and grey. About him was flung a tunic of purple blue, its borders of white gold lacing, its clasped with a brooch of red gold upon its breast. It floated out over each of his 2 shoulders. A white hooded cloak hung about him with the broad flaming red. A sword with a hilt of gold laying on rest on his 2 thighs, and in his hand a broad grey spear on a shaft of wild ash. Beside it lay a sharp, venomous dart. Across his shoulders he bore a purple shield, surrounded by an even circle of silver. Upon it were chased looped animals in gold. Into his mouth a shower of pearls seemed to have been thrown, blacker than the side of a black cooking spit each of his 2 brows, redder than rubies his lips. Before him in the chariot was a charioteer, a very slender, tall, lank, stooped, very freckled man. A very curly red hair on the top of his head, and a brand of white bronze on his forehead that prevented his hair from falling about his face. Above his 2 spheres of gold, into which his hair was gathered. About him was a winged little cloak, with an opening in his 2 elbows. He held in his hands a small whip of red gold, with which he urged on his horses. It seemed to me that it was Cuchulainn and Log, his charioteer, who would win the chariot, and that it was the black Selgin and the grey of Macha that were yoked to it. Dost thou believe in the Christian God henceforth, O Logar? Said Patrick, since Cuchulainn came to converse with thee. If it were Cuchulainn that I saw, it seems to me that he stayed too short time to converse with me. Now, they remained still in the same place, and they perceived the chariot coming across the plain towards them, drawn by its 2 horses, wherein rode Cuchulainn, garbed as a warrior, and Log Rigma, his charioteer. Then in mid-air, Cuchulainn performed 27 feats of skill above them. The nose feet of 9, that is, the feet of the cat, the feet of cur, and the feet of derry, and the blind feet of birds, and the leap over poison, the bed folding of the brave champion, the bellows of dart, the stroke of quickness, the adore of shout, the hero scream, the wheel fast, the edge feet, the apple feet, the nose feet, the ancient by rope, the straightening of body on the spear point, the binding of a noble champion, and the return of stroke, and the stroke with measure. As for the charioteer, the management of reins confounds all speech. He was above the apparitions and breathings of the horses. Then Cuchulainn went to converse with Patrick, and saluted him, saying, I beseech thee, O Patrick, in the presence that I may be, that thou hast wilt bring me with the faithful ones into the land of the living. Then he addressed the king thus, Believe in the Christian God, and in the holy Patrick, O Logar, that the earth's surface may not come over thee, for it is not a demon that has come to thee. It is Cuchulainn Maxutrum, A world for every champion is the law of earth. Every quiet one's in concealment. Every hero is earth. Every holy one's is heaven. For of the order of demons is everything thou proudest on. It is the world of each in turn that thou cherishes. Cuchulainn was silent. And Logair did not speak, whose chariot of men of Brag, O Logair, who sits there in the slopes, who watches their fjords, whom do the wives elope with? Whom do their daughters love? That is the inquiry to me and to thee, asked Logair. There was a time, O Logair, when it was I who used to go among them, who used to go around them, and who used to keep them together. It was their little champion, for how they used to love, whom the high spirits they used to play about, and there was a time, O Logair, when it was I who used to go to the great attacks, who used to burst the great contest. I was the battle victorious, loud shouting, red-wristed, proud-palmed, brave Cuchulainn, who used to be on the rich plain of Murren. Believe in the Christian God and in Patrick, O Logair, for it is not a demon thou hast come to thee, but Cuchulainn, the son of Satrum. And if it is Cuchulainn that is here present, said Logair, he will tell us of his great deeds. That is true, Logair, said Cuchulainn. I was the destroyer of the hag ship in the reception of the fjords of my territories. I was heavy of hand on heroes and great hosts. I used to hunt the fleets of herds of my enemies in full rushness and left their flocks living dead upon the mountains, after the slaying in equal combat of men whom were over them. If thou dost indeed know the deeds, if thou recountest the deeds of a hero with thee, but they were not the deeds of Cuchulainn. That is true, O Logair, said Cuchulainn. I was not a hound of taking of a fort. I was a hound of taking of a deer. I was not a hound of a forbidden totter. I was a hound strong for combat. I was not a hound for round lickings and leavings. I was a hound who visited the troops. I was not a hound to watch over the calves. I was a hound to guard Emin Macha. If thou deeds are, so recount them, the deeds of a hero were with thee. It is true, Logair, said Cuchulainn. The deeds of a hero were with me. I was a hero, and I was a leader. I was a charioteer of great chariot, and I was gentle to the gentle. But against dishonor I wrought vengeance. I was not the poisoned tongue of my territories. I was the casket of every secret for the maidens of Ulster. I was a child with the children. I was a man with men. I was the correction. I used to labor. I was good in spirit of satirizing. I was better for praising. If it be Cuchulainn that is here, said Logair, he would tell us a portion of the great risks he risked. That is true, O Logair, said Cuchulainn. I used to hunt their great flocks. With hardy Cocobear, I was in a foreign territory. I used to behold each victory. I played on breasts above the horses' stream. Before me on every side great battles were broken. I broke contests on the champions of territories. I was the sword-red hero. After the slaying of hosts, I broke the edge of feasts. On the points of their swords I reached their great spoils, where it threw drivings of fire. The next stanza described a journey in which Cuchulainn waged battles in Lochlum in the north and slew a giant. He continues. A journey I went, O Logair, when I went to the land of Scath. Dun Chulainn was the locks of iron. I'd laid hard upon 7 walls about the city. Hateful was that fort. and the palisade of irons in each wall, in which there were 9 heads. Doors of iron on each side. Not strong defense against us. I struck them with my foot and drove them into the fragments. There was a pit in the dune, belonging to the king, so it said. 10 serpents burst over its border. It was a great deed after I tacked them through the vast and strong until I made bits of them between my 2 fists. There was a house full of toads. There I would loose upon us sharp-beaked monsters, and the cave that calved to my snout. A fierce dragon-like monsters were against us. Strong were their witcheries. After that I attacked them when a rush was made on me. I ground them into small pieces between my 2 palms. There was a cauldron in that dune. A calf of the 3 cows, 30 joints of meat in its girth, were not a charge of it. And the cows used to frequent cauldrons, and delightful was its contest. They were not to go from it on any side until they left it full. There was much gold and silver in it, and wonderful was the find. That cauldron was given to us by the daughter of the king. The 3 cows were carried off. They swam boldly over the sea. There was a load of gold for 2 men, to each of them on her neck. After we'd come upon the ocean, which spread out towards the north, the crew of my carrack was engulfed by a fierce storm. After this I floated them, and though it was a sharp danger, 9 men on each of my hands, 30 on my head. 8 upon the 2 sides clung to my body. Thus I swam the ocean until I reached the harbour. When I stuffed the trouble o' Lager by the sea and land, yet more served was a simple night, when the demon was wrathful. My little body was scared with Logar mighty. Demons carried off my soul into the red charcoal. I played the swordlet on them, I plied the Mogalabrugga, and was in my complete victory when, with this demon in pain. Great was my heroism, hard was my sword. The devil crushed me with 1 finger into red charcoal. Cuchulainn endeavours to persuade King Logar to believe in the Christian God and Patrick by dwelling on the plains of hell in which are lying champions of Ulster. He extols Patrick's power of having conjured him up, and he concludes, though thine were peripheral life of earth, with its beauty, better it is a single reward in heaven with the Christian God. I beseech thee, O Patrick, in the presence that I may come, thou would bring me with thy faithful ones into the land which thou drivest above. Again, we don't know how ancient this tale is. It's obviously in St. Patrick's time, so it is fairly old, but again, unfortunately, it is preaching about Patrick's conversion of the Druids to Christianity, which again is a form of badness. Believe in the Christian God, O Patrick, said Lager. That wave of earth may not come over thee. It will come unless thou believest in the Christian God and in Holy Patrick. For it is not a demon that is come to thee, it is Chulainn, son of Sathram. Now that thing indeed happened. Earth may come over Lager. Heaven was decreed for Chulainn. Lager believed in Patrick and conscience. Great was the power of Patrick in the awakening Chulainn after being 9 times 50 years in the grave. That's from the reign of Concobar MacNisa. Is born into the Christian and the end of the reign of Logar, son of Neil, son of Echermechum, son of Mechadul, son of Feprodus, son of Concobar, son of Comric Elfta, son of Arthrum, son of Comric Hertrin, son of Filther son of Tusitumber, son of Feldric, son of Copric Nithra, son of Logar of the Red Stripes, and he, Logar, was a foster son to Cuchulainn, son of Satram.